best part about Saquon Barkley now rushing for over 2,000 yards and having a legitimate chance, if he/the team want him to go for it in Week 18, is that he needs 101 yards on the ground against a Giants team that decided he wasn't worth $12 million a year, which was captured by Hard Knocks, which went out to the entire world. That included the owner saying, I can't handle it if he goes to Philadelphia. Couldn't stomach it. The Giants got rid of the quarterback that they used as the justification. You can't have a $40 million quarterback handing off to a $12 million running back. He's gone. The Giants just probably cost themselves a shot at Shedeur Sanders by winning on Sunday against the Colts. And now Barkley would have a chance to break the all-time single-season rushing record against that same Giants team. That's an absolute thing of beauty. Now, I know where a lot of people go. I know where almost everyone's head is going to go. And that is Saquon Barkley shouldn't go for the record. What about the risk of injury? You are officially out of the number one overall seed conversation because Minnesota beat a fraudulent Packers team. There's no way on earth that Saquon Barkley should go for the rushing record. That's what a lot of people are saying. Many people are saying. I have to tell you. And this might surprise many. This might surprise no one. I want him to go for it, but only if he wants to go for it. I only want Saquon Barkley to go after the record if this organization decides he has been such a model citizen and he has been so dominant on so many levels, we want him to go for it. And I'm going to show you a clip or two and some comments out there from his teammates post-game. Because some people said, well, if Barkley goes after it, it's selfish. What if he gets hurt? Yada, yada, yada. First, I'm going to go out to Saquon Barkley because he's been kind of getting asked about it now for a few weeks. And I think it's really important to observe the body language, listen to his words, look at his facial reactions, and then, like I said, we'll get to some of his teammates. But I want you to just see, at least for a second here, where Saquon Barkley, where his head is at, and whether or not he really wants to go after it. And we're going to throw this over, courtesy of NBC Sports Philadelphia, who did the transcription here. But this is Saquon Barkley talking about the chance to go after the record and what it means to eclipse 2,000 yards, becoming only the 9th running back in history to do so. Here's Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Just being a fan of the game and the running back position, to reach a milestone and put myself up there with 8 other backs that I respect, and some of them I grew up watching, definitely means a lot. But at the same time, I wouldn't be able to do that with this team. And like I said, you can't be great without the greatness of others, and I'm just happy I was able to be a part of the team and be able to reach a milestone like that.
So there's your first part. Your first part was just simply the honor of joining a very select group of people to eclipse 2,000 yards. That's one. So it's like 2 parts to this. When you sign with a new team, your thought, certainly at his point in his career, it's not like he's old. But by running back standards, right, like he's got 3-ish years of like really good performance left. Some would argue. I'd say it based on how he looks right now, it certainly looks like that window's far more open with Saquon Barkley. Seems to take very good care of himself. Great offensive line in front of him. Relatively young offensive line. They've had some turnover, and it still continues to perform at maybe the highest level it ever has. So he didn't sign here to cross 2,000 yards. He didn't sign here to get himself in position to set the all-time single-season rushing record. But now this part about whether or not he goes for the record, this is where we get back to Saquon. And again, I want you to pay attention to the facials. I want you to pay attention to the body language. I want you to pay attention to the words. Let's see what Saquon Barkley says when asked specifically, are you going for the record?
The way I look at it, if it's in God's plan, then it is. I'm not overly trying to go get it. I'm not scared of it. Like I would love to, but at the end of the day, also we got bigger things that we're focusing on, and we're able to clinch the division right here. And whether it's we play next week or not and rest, I'm fine with that too, because I didn't come here and sign here just to rush for 2,000 or break a record. I want to do something special, and meaning special with the team.
That is exactly the kind of answer that Saquon Barkley's been giving all year. That's a team-first mentality. But notice how he initially responded. The smile, the pause, the sheepish grin, the look at the reporter. Dude wants to go for the record. And who could blame him? Okay? Now, some people want to make the argument, and I have not listened to sports talk radio today, but I have an idea of how it's going to go, and I'm probably not going to tune in specifically because I just don't have it in me to care what some of those people have to say. But what I will tell you is this. There are going to be people who are going to say Saquon Barkley is selfish if he wants to go for it. Those people are idiots. And by all means, if clips start going around today from either radio station, and it's somebody saying Saquon is selfish if he goes after, I want you to tag me. Ford will. But I want you to tag me in it. And I would like to have a conversation with those radio hosts. Because Barkley has been the antithesis of selfish. Earlier this season, when he had the opportunity to set a career high for a single game rushing total against his former team, the Giants, he said, no. Let the other guys eat. Let the young guys eat. He was caught on the sideline saying, I'm good. Like I've kind of done everything that I wanted to do in this game. I've made my point. And in fact, maybe Barkley would have already set the rushing record had he gone back in against a Giants team that could not stop him earlier this season. He clearly wants to go out and at least have the opportunity. When you're a young player and you think about getting to the league, there are very few things that you kind of set as an eventual hope or expectation, right? If you're a running back, there are probably two things, maybe three. All right, let's say three things that you want. You want to win a Super Bowl. That's every player. You want to win a Super Bowl. And if you're a running back, the single season rushing record is probably up there. Maybe winning MVP is up there, even though it's mostly a quarterback award at this point, has been for a decade and a half. Can you blame him? He's 101 yards away. He's not 165 yards away. He's 101 yards away. He's going to play his former team, all of whom speak glowingly of the guy. So if there's the fear out there, and it seems to be, right? There's the fear that well, what if Barkley gets hurt? That kills your chance at the Super Bowl. To which I say, you know what? You're right. You know what could also happen? He can go out wild card round after not playing next week, and he can pull a hammy, and he's out for the playoffs. That's football. That's sports. I think that no matter what, I would actually like to see the starters go out and maybe get a series in. I think that's fair. I get that you can't have a bye week. This could be a bye week for you, Russ. I hate to remind people, but this Eagles team in the beginning of the season, when they didn't have the preseason, it took them a while to get tuned back up. Jalen Hurts has now missed almost 2 full games. We don't know if he's going to be cleared for Week 18 or not. Do I want to put Jalen Hurts in a position where he's at risk to get another concussion? No, I don't. Could I see that if he gets cleared today, maybe Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, that you say, you know what, we want to give Jalen Hurts one drive against the Giants in Week 18 to work on timing, to make sure that this team is going to be not only fresh by taking off at least 3 quarters, but is still in sync and Hurts gets back out there with the guys. Do I think it's the worst thing in the world? No. If an injury happens, you address it when it gets there. I'll go on record right now. I would actually be more worried about putting Hurts out there and risking another concussion than I would about having Barkley go out and play his former team. His former team speaks glowingly about him. The idea of there's going to be a dirty hit. The Giants aren't going to want to be embarrassed. Those Giants players probably, I would assume, many of them are on Barkley's side, that it was an abject failure by the New York Giants organization to let him go. And I would almost guarantee you that those Giants players, in some way, want to see Saquon Barkley set that record because it sticks it to a front office that decided he was not the problem, but he wasn't worth it. But Daniel Jones was. I don't see a dirty hit coming. I think Saquon can go out there and over the course of maybe like a quarter and a half could probably get to 101 yards. So if it's like, hey, play the first half, you tell Saquon, look, you're getting the first quarter. Depending on the situation, you might get the second quarter. Go out there and have fun. See if you can break the record. Saquon said there in that clip that ultimately if the team decides to rest the starters, decides to rest the offense, he's fine with it because that's what a good leader and a good teammate says. On a human level, I would love to see Saquon Barkley get to go for the record. Everybody can make the argument, they're like, oh, you're really hurting your chances at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is one team wins the Super Bowl every year. Okay? There is no guarantee you win a Super Bowl. You let Saquon Barkley go out for the record, you're giving him a really strong chance to go down in the history books. And for a guy who's been a consummate professional, I think you kind of owe it to him to let him go out and see if he can get it. And again, maybe give him a half. Tell him you're not playing the whole game. Like, no matter what, starters are out in the second half. Doesn't matter. You're locked into the number 2 seed. This is history, man. And like from an organizational perspective, the Super Bowl is obviously the ultimate goal. It's the thing that you want more than anything. But there is a little bit of bragging rights. And there's a little bit of, the guy who goes into the Hall of Fame, maybe he goes in as an Eagle. If he's here for, long enough. Maybe he goes into the Hall of Fame as an Eagle. Within the Hall of Fame, Saquon Barkley is the one who has the single season rushing record. And maybe there's a picture of him doing the reverse hurdle in the Kelly Green jersey. I don't think it's like an immature stance to take. I don't think it's an extreme stance to take. I think that just based on what he's done this season, the kind of guy that he's been behind the scenes, the guy that he's been on the field, the guy that we've seen in some of those behind the scenes cutaways on the sideline, let him go for it. Give him limited time, but let him go for it in week 18. Let the chips fall where they may. And then be ready for wild card round, which might end up being against Green Bay. We'll see. I'm going to go out to the comments. I'm going to see where people are at. I know that like there's kind of been some condescension, we'll say, on Twitter over the last like 12 hours or so, where you get a lot of people saying, the people who want to see him go after the record, they don't know ball. You got to get everybody ready for the wild card round. Fine. It's 101 yards. You're either good or you're not. You're either a team that can go out and get the job done or not. Now, the only thing that I could really look at and say, hey, you know what? Maybe there is a point, is that the Eagles' bye week was super early this season, and they really haven't had a week off. Like, maybe we can make that case. If you really want to try, you might be able to. And maybe you can convince me. And there was a comment, by the way, that I do want to get to. I had the video, and now I don't have the video. I'm going to see if I could find it. But it was about, I think it was A.J. Brown was the one who talked about Saquon and whether or not he should go after the record. And when I find it, here it is. I got it. We're good. Let's go out. This is one of the clips of A.J. Brown. This is just him talking about the guy that Barkley has been for this team in the locker room, all that. And then I'm going to get to the one right after it about whether or not he should be allowed to go after the record. So here's A.J. Brown post-game with John Clark talking about what Saquon Barkley has been like for this team this season.
Guys, I really don't think people understand how hard that is to do. Go get 2,000 yards in a season is extremely hard. Hats off to the entire team, blocking O-line, tight ends, even the wideouts, But he's an unbelievable talent, man. It couldn't happen to a better person, honestly. He's a great teammate. And so to see guys to do milestones like that, it means the world to us because he's a great teammate, a great person.
So that was the first one. Now, I want to actually get to his comment. I mean, that's somebody who's got admiration for their teammate, right? Like, that's a genuine response. And I want to take people back really quickly to this offseason. Derrick Henry was available. Saquon Barkley was available. Teams like the Cowboys didn't even think it was worth having a meeting with those guys because they were going to request too much money. Like, Derrick Henry's had a fantastic season. Had it not been for Saquon going over 2,000, I think Henry's around, 1789, something like that? Close to 1,800 yards himself. Good on Derrick Henry. It's almost like the big boys showed up to play this year, that the star running backs have shown up to play in a big way and almost kind of rebuild the entire free agent market potentially for their fellow running backs. Okay, now I'm going to get out to A.J. Brown because, as I mentioned before, A.J. Brown had something very interesting to say about whether or not Saquon Barkley should go for the rushing record and how he would feel. Now, keep in mind, we just said these guys haven't had a week off since, what was it, week 5 was the bye. I bet a lot of these guys would like to have a little bit of rest. I want you to hear what A.J. Brown had to say in the locker room about whether or not Saquon should go for it and what he thinks about the situation.
Saquon hit that number.
Excited for him. He was trying so hard, guys. He was trying so hard. I told him to get it done, but be safe. And I'm happy for him.
Do you want to see him go? Do you want to see him go for the all-time rushing record next week?
Of course. Why not? I want to be a part of that. So looking back on the years, I'll say, hey, that's my teammate. And he did it. So.
It's viewed as a Saquon thing, but you just said it. Like, what do you think it would mean for the team if you were to set that record?
It means it'll mean a lot. History purposes. Like I said, I like to say when I'm talking to my kids, I was a part of Saquon when he did that. Part of the team when he did that. So. Who knows what happens next week, so we'll see.
So that came courtesy of, it was Elliot Shore Parks who was the one who filmed and had the question there. But, there you go. So Barkley, pretty much throughout the season, when his success on the ground has been brought up, said, this has a lot to do with the team. It's not just me. I run through the holes. I'm the one who, goes and picks up the yards. But, it's the line. It's the receivers helping. It's everything. It's the entire team that helps get him that kind of success. And what does A.J. Brown say? A.J. Brown, who, by the way, at least some people in Philly sports media tried to paint as a horribly selfish human being who doesn't want to be here. A.J. Brown says, I want to be part of that. We've all seen what he's done and accomplished. We've all had a hand in it. Yeah, it'd be really cool to say I was on that team that helped him get to the all-time single-season rushing record. Nick Sirianni, right? Nick Sirianni has a very hard decision to make. Now, it's hard and it's not, right? Because traditionally, you say, give your starters the week off, see you guys again in wild card round. This week really doesn't mean anything. Have fun out there. By the way, if you play your backups and the Giants win, again, it'll further tank their draft pick, which is hilarious. But Nick Sirianni has to, he probably is going to have a conversation with a few of the leaders on the team and get the pulse of the locker room. Because if the offense, for example, is die hard about going after this record for Saquon with Saquon, you kind of have to give them the opportunity. So, if you want to think about momentum, right? Momentum's a hell of a thing. If you tell the starters, hey, totally get it. It's been an awesome season. We love Saquon. We love what he's done. And at the same time, we have to do what's best to try to get to the Super Bowl. You have to make that decision today. That has to be today. Because there might be a little bit of a gut punch, and then everybody says, all right, makes sense. We're good. However, if this Eagles team goes out, and again, it's first quarter or first half, right? This offense goes out there. Saquon sets the single season record. Do you know what that's going to do for that locker room? Do you know what that kind of a momentous occasion is going to do for that locker room? For confidence. To be able to go into the playoffs saying, yo, Jalen Hurts can sling that ball around. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are absolute killers at the wide receiver position. Oh, and by the way, we have the guy in the backfield who just set the single-season rushing record. You're going to ride an ultimate high going into the playoffs. And that's the kind of thing that, man, if you couldn't end your season on a super long winning streak like you would have had it not been for last week, the next best thing is, we set a record. That's how dominant we are in the trenches. That's how dominant we are down the field blocking. That's how dominant this running back is. I would like to see them give him a chance. Will they? I don't know. We'll find out. I would assume that we'll find out today, Tuesday at the latest. We'll see. I certainly hope that they at least entertain the idea. and they do it safely. I think that's the other big thing. A.J. Brown said, Saquon was really trying to get over 2,000 yards. And A.J. told him, just do it safely. Be safe. Like, don't make any stupid plays. Don't make any kind of risky plays. Get the ball where it needs to go. Feel good about it and move on.